Have you ever had a fantastic plan go horribly wrong? Maybe you set out on a journey to do something nobody else had ever done before, something that would take a lot of prep. Then you wake up to realize you're 1 week away from the big day where the dream would become a reality, and you're essentially no closer to being ready for it than when you started 2 years ago? Well, maybe I'm getting too specific here for a relatable, catchy intro to this video, but that's exactly what happened with my sailing-themed Extreme One Chunk account, SailingChunk. As the name suggests, this account was built to combine two amazing things: old school RuneScape's first new skill, sailing, and the One Chunk game mode. If you don't know, the One Chunk game mode intends for its group of hard-headed, persistent, and potentially clinically insane players to play the game in a rather unorthodox way, doing mostly everything they can do in a 64 by 64 tile area of the map known as a chunk, before moving on to the next one, ergo one chunk. Chunk accounts typically start their accounts like this, selecting a single starting chunk somewhere either interesting, challenging, or completely random. Once they've done everything they can do in their starting chunk, they get to roll, which typically means selecting all adjacent chunks that they can walk into, then letting the chunk picker randomly choose between them to determine where they go next. Back in January of 2024, after watching the OSRS Winter Summit update about sailing, I had the previously determined fantastic idea of expanding the One Chunk account unlocking strategy to not only include walkable chunks, but saleable chunks as well. It was my idea first, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So with the guarantee that sailing would start in Port Sarim and with zero other knowledge about how the skill would function or even be unlocked, I booted up a new account with a name I couldn't believe hadn't been taken yet, and we started our journey in a home of everyone's favorite jaunty tune, Sea Shanty 2. From the beginning of this account, I allowed water-adjacent chunks to also be rollable, but after almost 2 years, I only have one of the 6 chunks required in order to unlock sailing by completing the introductory quest, Pandemonium. I just got really unlucky, constantly rolling into massive grinds, such as needing to get over 30 million mining XP just to train up to 89 crafting. And the further I roll into the mainland, the lower chances I have of rolling into the sea. I started with a 12.5% chance to roll south, a literal dock where you first board a vessel during the Pandemonium quest. Now with 26 rollable chunks, the chances of rolling that same sailing mandatory chunk is down to 3.8%. So for the sake of having the fun I always intended to have with this account, and with the support of my other content creator friends and plenty of my viewers, I'm just going to unlock sailing manually. But how? Well, if I were to start this account with the knowledge I have today, I would complete the Pandemonium quest and make the Pandemonium Island itself my starting chunk rather than Port Sarim. I would then mostly follow the Extreme One Chunk rule set as I do now, with a small exception that I'll talk about in a sec. I would complete everything I can in my chunk, then allow myself to roll any adjacent water or land chunk to continue branching out from there. So that's essentially what I'm going to do. All of the land in my current chunks will be temporarily inaccessible until I reconnect to them by docking at one of their ports. However, I won't simply re-unlock all of my chunks at the same time. I have a few different groups of chunks that each stem from one or more ports. My Catherby group, for instance, can only be unlocked by reconnecting to Catherby. My Port Sarim group, however, can be unlocked by reconnecting to Port Sarim, Musa Point, or Intrana. Now, about this exception. The Skills Confirmed Skill Master, Brass Hand Harry, will most likely still be located on the Pandemonium itself upon release, just like he was in both the Alpha and the Beta, meaning you will probably be able to buy the Sailing Skill Cape on the Pandemonium. What this would mean for a true Extreme One Chunk Ironman that starts here is that they would complete all the tasks that they can on the island itself without training any sailing, since boarding your boat actually puts you in a chunk directly to the east. Then they would immediately roll that east chunk, allowing them to get into their boat. Then, since they have a level 1 training method of circling around and trimming sails, they would do that until level 15. They would then purchase the bronze salvaging hook upgrade from the shipwright, then hop in their boat and head to the far east side of that same chunk they just unlocked and salvage small shipwrecks all the way until 99 sailing. That seems boring. And not at all what I intended to do with this account in the slightest. I want to ensure I partake in a drastic amount of sea exploration before I complete 99 sailing. So for sailing itself, I'll be considering that skill semi-extreme. Still completing the highest level skilling challenges available to me, but not counting the skill cape in that group of challenges. However, I am an Extreme One Chunk man. I need that cape. I can't be seen on dry land without it, given a name like mine. So what I'm going to do is, even if I re-unlock all of my previous land chunks, I'm not going to make any new land chunks rollable until I've obtained the Sailing Skill Cape. This means I should be exploring a ton of the sea before I actually get 99, which would be great for evening out that ratio of unlockable sea to land chunks. Let me know what you all think of this decision and the way I'm approaching a new skill unlock. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. I will say, I'm a bit disappointed that there's apparently not going to be a fun, lore-friendly skill master, and even more disappointed for what that means for other extremes who aren't going to be making the same exception I'm making. I did talk with Madalena at RuneFest about the location of the skill master, as I was hoping that sailing wouldn't just be another unlock the skill and immediately get 99 grind for extreme one-chunk accounts. My idea was to make the sailing master be some sort of old hermit who mastered the art of sailing long ago, and since he didn't like people much, he sailed far away to where only someone with his skills could venture, and of course, there's no sailor like him until now! You, great hero of Gielinor, can become master of the seas by taking part in our newest skill, sailing! Yeah, you get the idea, right? Like, it makes sense. There could be a whole pitch behind it rather than just plopping some random NPC in a bar of Pandemonium. Anyway, I'm so looking forward to finally getting this account out onto the open seas and to figure out what all the new content has in store for one-chunk accounts. Be on the lookout for a new SailingChunk video coming pretty soon, and probably one or two more after that until we reach the start of the new sailing arc. In the meantime, I'm considering streaming the account's first steps into sailing on the day of release, so be sure you're subscribed so you can see the stream schedule if that ends up happening. Thank you all again for your continued support and patience for the lack of videos as I navigate through this busy time in my life, but I can't wait to bring you all more content. Fair winds and following seas to you all, me hearties.